So moving on to the Nvidia 8000 series, we have the 8400 GS, which is obviously just really a 2D card, as I call it. You plug this in to your system when you're just doing some 2D benchmarking. It's low profile because I've taken the bracket off it, and sometimes I unplug the fan as well because it's kind of annoying, and it just runs passively. Don't really bench this card 3D, but whatever, it's nice to have for 2D. Doesn't take much power, doesn't use much space, it's just kind of a crappy card for 2D, that's all. Now we have got two 8800 GTs here. I can run these both in SLI. Neither of them are very good. They're both reference PCBs, single slot designs, very loud, green PCB, kind of rubbish, but it's kind of nice having a reference Nvidia card that isn't branded or anything, so they are pretty cool. Now next up we have a Quadro FX 7300, and as you can see here, it's got no thermal paste and pads, so I can only use it underwater unless I put some on. And I bought this for a competition on Hardware Bot where you had to get a Quadro, a 3000 series Quadro or something. I haven't really used it much other than that, and it's basically the same as these 8800 GTs, but obviously it doesn't work in SLI because it's a Quadro. So yeah, that's really it for that one. I also have this 8800 GTX here, BFG, with a full cover water block, and although this is a really nice card, I bought it dead and it hasn't really worked. I just bought it for the water block hoping it would fit my EVGA one, and it doesn't because the PCBs are different. So moving up over to here, you will see my EVGA 8800 GT X. There it is. It's not a great card, it needs volt modding and all that goodness. It's got dual 6-pin connectors, it is a dual slot card, and it has actually got a heat pipe as well. However, like I say, it's not the best overclocker, so I don't really use it much unless I have to in a competition. But it's nice to have one on the shelf, and maybe if I ever get into volt modding, it might be a decent card. We will have to see. Then we've got the 9600 GT, which is again one of my very first graphics cards that I got. Not really much to say about this one. It's reference PCB, single 6-pin. Doesn't overclock very well, no voltage control, with it being an older card. Yeah, that's it really. So moving on, we've got the pair of Zotac reference 9800 GTX Pluses. Now these were a good bargain. I got both of these for like 20 quid off eBay, posted. It was an insane deal, and I was just expecting it to come with a card, but they came boxed. They had the original game codes with them. They even came with like games on an actual CD, because now when you buy a card and you get a free game, it's like a game code or whatever, whereas these came with actual game discs, so that was pretty cool. I've actually run Crysis in these, done a couple of videos on them in the past. They are really not the best overclockers ever, but they're pretty cool cards. I like 9800 GTX Pluses just because they've got the longest name ever. I mean, you could have a a Turbo Corsair RGB edition or whatever, but yeah, they've got a pretty crazy long name, and I do like how clean and tidy these cards are. They're actually a bit dusty at the moment, but we'll gloss over that. Now then, I've got a third one of these, because two-way SLI is not enough, especially when you have two fingers. You need to run 3 or 4. So this one here is my bestest 9800 GTX Plus, and it's got a full custom PCB, as you can see. And the reference ones, by the way, are a singular 8-pin, and this one's got dual 6 pins. You can see it's got a full nice VRM here, some nice old VRM components, and it's got a dual heat pipe sort of heat sink array, which keeps it a fair bit cooler than these reference blower style ones did. And This card's really easy to mount a water block to as well. This card overclocks really well, pretty fast, and it's worth a lot of points, and also allows me to do 3-way SLI with those other two as well, which is great. No voltage control on any of these, however this one here is pretty easy to mod if I ever want to mod it, so that's just nice to know really. So that's it for the 9000 series from the Nvidias. So next we're moving on to the 200 series, and I only have one of these. This is the GTX 285. It's got a full cover water block from Heat Killer. I'm just going to have to move so I don't step on my own GPUs here. And I actually have two water blocks before I ever got the card, which came with a phase cooler. And you can see there for the GTX 285 there. It's a really nice water block. Interestingly, this water block's so old that there's only coolant channels in this top piece here. And the other bits are literally just blocks of copper, and the water only flows sort of in there and out there. And the heat is just literally synced by the copper to the water, which is interesting. But that is a reference PCB card, so yeah, it's not the best overclocker ever, but I bought it for a competition and I already had the water block on, so I thought I might as well put it on. So we did. Now next up, this is actually my latest purchase of a graphics card. It's a 560 Ti 448 classified. A very, very, very rare card indeed. You can see it's got the stripe on it like the EVGA 560 Ti 2 Win, but it's only got 2 fans, and I really want a 2 Win. I've been trying to get one for like 2 months and I can't find one. Ordered one from CEX and they didn't have one, but this came up on eBay. 24 quid well spent. Overclocks pretty badly, but it's classified, looks cool. Once we get EVGA Precision up and running correctly, this card should fly. I haven't done a lot of testing with it yet, and yeah, it's just really, really nice. Now, GTX 400 series. Don't have any. I used to own 2 GTX 480s, and I sold them both ages ago, never bought another one again. So we move straight on to the 500 series. So we have 4 GTX 580s. We have a PNY one, which I used to have 2 of. I sold the slower one because the slower one would not do over 900 megahertz no matter what I did. We have 2 MSI ones. I've actually had millions of GTX 580s. In fact I might have had more GTX 580s than the millions of 6950s I have over there. But I've had 3 MSI ones, I think 2 or 3 reference cards, like blower style ones, and then a Gigabyte one as well. A Gigabyte SoC. Maybe I had 4 MSI ones, can't remember, but this one here, the MSI ones use reference PCBs, they come with a twin Frozer cooler. But the good thing about that is that they have this plate on them, so even though they're a reference PCB, you can actually run a universal water block on, whereas with these you have to take the plate off to run a universal water block, which is quite annoying. None of these are pretty fast, however I like to run 580s in 3 and 4 way SLI, so yeah, that's my main priority, is just have lots of them that do about 950 megahertz rather than one good one. Now I do have a good one down here, 580 Matrix, but unfortunately it's dead. I only ever got 1 score with it. It was a beast underwater when my mate had it. You can see how much bigger it is than the MSI one behind it. Lol. However, it kind of died because it was a reheated heat gun GPU, so it was dead when he got it. He brought it back to life briefly. It has a huge heat sink, dual 8-pin connectors, massive fans, really nice backplate, but unfortunately it doesn't work anymore, so sad times. And it has great GPU voltage control, but again only an Asus GPU tweak, so for running 4-way SLI it's kind of rubbish. However, on its own, underwater, on LN2, great card. So we're getting towards the end of the GPU tour now. We've only got one line left. So starting from the top here, we have my first ever dedicated graphics card that I played Crysis on, or Crysis 2, and Metro 2033 and various other super demanding titles, and that is the legendary GeForce GT 610 2GB model, and this is an EVGA card. Now this was my oldest card, well, I personally bought new, and it actually died recently, which was very sad. What happened was I put a load of putty along this end and this end, filled it with water, the heatsink that is, with the GPU laying flat obviously, and then I was trying to boil the water in it. The GPU got up to about 105 degrees. These don't have thermal protection, if you were wondering. The GPU got to 105 degrees, and unfortunately the water only got to 88, and then the GPU died. So that's sad. That was probably about 2 months ago now, but up until then it's been folded at home on for probably 6-7 months straight. It used to run at literally 103 degrees with the fan on 100%. It's a pretty bad cooler, as you can see. It's tiny. So yeah, it was a pretty bad card, but it was good for 2D, so that was kind of sad. Now, moving on, we'll go down to the 660 Ti Power Edition, which I really like this card. It overclocks pretty damn well, especially underwater. It doesn't have any voltage control, however it does have a really nice custom BIOS on it. The main problem is with these cards, same with the 60 GTX 670 and the 660 Ti here, both have a similar issue in that the PCBs aren't very good. Now these cards are both locked to 1.2 volts without any volt modding. No matter how much voltage you give them in MSI Afterburner, they'll always stick to 1.212 volts. And they both overclock really well. Obviously they're both different cards. But I am able to put water blocks on both of them because they have a plate covering the VRM. As you can see there, that little black plate. And what I do is I stick little copper RAM heat sinks all over the plate when I run them underwater. And both of these cards overclock really well. Got them both off eBay, fairly good deals, not the best deals ever, but nowhere near the prices you'd probably be looking to pay at the minute with the crazy GPU prices at the minute. And then next up we have got the GTX 670. Now this is a Gigabyte Windforce X3 card. My cousin's actually got one of these in his PC as well with a 2500K. This one came with a water block though. I think I have the original cooler for this somewhere, I'm not sure where. But this actually uses a GTX 680 PCB, and the VRM on this one is like all sideways and weird. So this one overclocks pretty well. I think the memory is better on this one, but the core's better on that one. And for some reason, I can't remember why, but they don't like being in Crossfire, or SLI. I think it's SLI. Yeah, it is. So they don't like being in SLI together for some weird reason. I think it's because the PCBs are different, voltage controllers are slightly different. But they don't like being in SLI together. However, they both overclock pretty well. But one's better at one thing and one's better at the other thing. So I just keep them both, because that one will be better in some benchmarks and this one's better in other ones. Both of them run underwater. That one runs a uni block when I run it underwater. This one runs a full cover, so I just leave that on. Now next up we're going to move on to my collection of 680s. Now I have 3 of these and they all look like lightnings, but you'd be deceived because this one here, although it says lightning on the PCB and all of the morons on eBay list them as lightnings, this one here is a power edition. And there's only one way to tell. In fact, there's a couple of ways to tell, and I can't actually remember what they are. But basically, the easiest way to tell is it says PE on the back. On the label, there we go, 680 PE. That stands for Poo Edition, if you were wondering. It's basically lightnings, because lightnings are binned, which didn't make the grade. So if you buy one of these, expect it to overclock worse than a lightning. And if you want a lightning, for LN2 purposes say, and you don't want a PE, send the PE back and then buy another one. Because even if they've listed it as a lightning, it isn't, it's a PE. That's why this one's got the water block on, so it can keep up with the lightning. Because it's that much slower. However, if you get lucky and you get a good PE, you can actually flash a lightning BIOS onto the PE, and then it is kind of fast. And you do have the voltage control unlocked on both. However, MSI Afterburner knows that this is a PE. So if you want to run loads of voltage, and I mean like 1.8 volts, you have to use a lightning BIOS. And they have, same as the 7970, this stupid reactor thing. And you'll see I have 3 of these cards, and you'll be thinking, why do you have 3 of these cards, Lawrence, when 2 ASLI, you know, is perfectly fine? And the reason I have 3 is because one of them's dead, because I tried to run it under LN2, and basically it never even ran. What happened is I insulated the card, I don't know which one it is, but I insulated the card, put the GPU pot on, put it in the system. Oh, a little puff of smoke. Oh dear, the reactor's shorted. Oh dear, and it wasn't even wet, didn't have any LN2 on it. I was literally putting the pot in dry just to test that it would boot. And these stupid reactors, they short out for some weird reason and they kill the card. Now, the best thing to do if you want to run one of these at high voltage or under LN2 or even just on air, there's a special BIOS that you can get from MSI that allows you to run the card without this reactor thing on the back. And if you want to know what one of those actually looks like, I'll just show you quickly here on the 7970. That's what it looks like underneath the stupid cap thingamajig. And basically you just unplug that pile of poo and then your card doesn't die. It's brilliant. So I'd highly recommend that. One of these 2 here, which are both actual lightnings, don't work. So I have 1 working lightning and 1 PE. And annoyingly, the lightning that I killed was way faster than the other lightning. So I'm kind of pissed about that because it is like 1350 megahertz on air. And that was before I got the water block. So that was super annoying. Anyway, moving on from the 600 series, we now move up to the 700 series. And here is my EVGA GT710, which I bought for a cheapest chips competition for Hardware Bot in 2016. And I've not really used it at all since then. I was actually thinking about selling it because I had 2 Asus ones as well, which I bought for that competition and I sold them. However, since the recent death of the GT610 down there, this has become my new 2D card, and as you can see, the PCIe thingamajig on the bottom isn't even full length. So it is the smallest card in the universe, because yeah, that's how big it is compared to a 680 Lightning. And there's a 780 reference card underneath it, and yeah, it's tiny. Anyway, it's an EVGA. It's I can't remember whether it's a 1 gig or 2 gig. Doesn't really matter anyway. It's got DVI and HDMI, so it's all good. 2D card, perfectly fine, works well. So, moving on. This is my first GTX 780. I actually had 2 reference cards originally. So I had a Gigabyte one, which is this one, and an EVGA SC, which I no longer have. And this one came with the water block. It's a Aquacomputer Cryographics water block. It fits a GTX Titan and a GTX 780, which both have pretty much the same PCB. The Titan's just got memory modules on the back as well as the front. I am planning to swap this out for a Titan, and that's a OG Titan, the original one, which actually has double precision eventually, and use the water block from this and the other water block which I had on the other reference 780 on a pair of Titans, which will be cool. I don't know why I haven't sold this yet. I should really get rid of it because I have better 780s like this one, which is a Gigabyte Windforce X3, and I absolutely love this card. It runs really cool, really quiet, and plays games really well. It runs pretty hot though, to be fair, but yeah, it's a Windforce 780. It does nearly 1300 megahertz. I think it does do 1300 megahertz in some benchmarks. The memory on it's pretty good as well, so if I ever need to do any air-cooled benchmarks quickly with a GTX 780, I always go to this card. It's also like a backup gaming card, just in case one of my other cards breaks, and a 780 is the fastest thing I end up with. But this one's water cooled, and that is actually it. And I had this kind of third world problem here where I have the room full and I still had some more cards left, and so I've had to put those in another room. So we'll have to carry on from this 700 series in a minute. First world problems. So these are the final 5 cards which are on the shelf. 2 GTX 780 classified hydro coppers. These were a bargain. I think these were £180 delivered off Overclockers UK. That's the members market. The used bit, not new, obviously. They're both absolutely beastly cards. Like, seriously heavy. You can bet you can't really pick them up with one hand. You can see how much wider they are than a normal card. They come with full cover water blocks from the factory, which is SwiftTech blocks. And as you can see, they're just massive, and they are super heavy. Now, unfortunately, which is really annoying, one of these cards is dead. And I don't know which one it is because I didn't leave the fittings in the one that isn't dead. Now, luckily, when I got these cards, one of them did 1280 megahertz, and this is on the 1.2 volts limit, by the way. And the other did about 1340-ish. This is underwater, obviously. And the one that did 2080 would not go over 2080 no matter what I did. And I think that's the one that's died. Yeah, it was the one that's died. So the better one, which is good, is the one that hasn't died. And the better one I have benched on its own, not in SLI or anything, because originally I benched these 2 in SLI. But I've benched the faster one on its own, and it does 1450 to 1460 megahertz on the core in most benchmarks underwater at 1.38 volts. That is insanely fast. That is nearly 1500 megahertz. And I know a few guys who have done 1500 underwater, but they were pushing 1.45 to 1.5 volts. So one of these classifieds, whichever one is the one that works, is amazing. And I absolutely love these cards. I want to get 4 of them eventually and do 4-way SLI underwater. It'll be great. But I need to sell the dead one as spares and repairs. I also need to sell a reference one, swap that for a Titan, get a couple of Titans, and then get, hopefully, either normal classifieds and then put the water block off the dead one on, maybe switch that for the air cooler and then sell the dead one as air cooled or whatever. But I want to get classified hydro coppers, and they're super rare, super hard to find, and when they do come up, they're super expensive. So it's kind of difficult to do, but I'm just grateful that the one that I have got still working is an absolute monster of a card, and it's set some seriously good scores as well. I really like these cards. Now, the fastest 700 series card I have, which is, as far as I'm aware, the only dual GPU 700 series card ever made. Yeah, I think it is the infamous Mars Bar, as I like to call it. I absolutely love this card. It looks absolutely amazing. It is one of the best looking GPUs of all time, in my opinion. I just love the fan blade design, the sort of brushed, or it's like squishy rubberized plastic, and these metal red bits that are bolted on. The back plate is brushed aluminium, and it's just mega. And the VRM on it's actually really nice as well. You can see the caps through the heat sinks there. The heat sinks both take up the whole thing. It's not quite as nice as the like cooling wise as the stock 7990 cooler. If this was triple fan, oh, it'd be amazing. If this was triple fan, it would be like one of the best cards ever made. But looks wise, it does look really nice, and it does still perform pretty well. These are dual GTX 760s, for those people who don't know, which is funny because they aren't actually that much faster than a 780 once it's up to about 1400 megahertz. But at the time it was quoted as 7% faster than a Titan Black or a 780 Ti, and these were only £550 when they were new, whereas the Titan and the 780 Ti at the time were like, I think the Titan was at around 850 and the 780 Ti was like 650. So this was a really cool card to have. Obviously you're limited to 2 GB of memory per GPU, but they both overclock really well. You have barely any voltage control at all, which is one of the problems with it. You can go up plus 12 millivolts, which is, well done Asus, really helpful there. But they both overclock. I think one does 1291 and the other does 1280 on the cores, which is pretty decent. And the memory is also pretty good. It goes up to like 1990 megahertz if you get the right driver, nearly 2000. So really good memory, really good cores. I had 3 of these cards at one point. I ordered 2 more and both of them were dead. What are the chances of that? But it's just such a nice looking card. I absolutely love this card. Anyway, moving on to the 900 series. Now, as some of you may know, I actually had 970 SLI, well not SLI, but 2 GTX 970 Windforce in my main system, which folds at home 24/7, for quite a while. And that's this top card here with the Baiski £10 water block on, which I got off eBay, which is a full cover block. Great block, by the way. And yeah, if you ever want a block, I'd recommend these, especially if you can find one for a tenner like I did. I think they're normally like 60 quid though, so maybe not. But anyway, this is one of them. And this is my new 970, because the G1s I had always had Hynix memory, and although the cores were good because they're G1s, which means they're binned, unfortunately, although they did like 1600 megahertz on the core or whatever, the memory always let them down being Hynix. So I bought another one. This is an MSI card. I like MSI cards. It has a fat PCB on there. As you can see, it's a little bit taller than the bracket thing, and it does have quite a cool bracket as well. I don't really like the design of these newer cards, but it overclocks pretty decent. It's not 1600 megahertz. It does about 1560 to 1580, but this one has Samsung memory, which is what I always wanted on my G1s. And the memory on this is a beast. It'll go to like 2150 megahertz, smashes all the benchmarks. I could stick a water cooler on this as well because it has a base plate, so I could just stick a universal water block on here, potentially get a bit more out of it. Maybe I'll do that one day, but at the moment I've just run it on air. It's been pretty damn good on air. So that is about it for the cards that are on the shelf at the minute. So now I'm probably going to go and show you some of the cards that are actually in use. So the cards that I'm using in my main system currently is one of my Gigabyte 970s, which is obviously still on air cooling. It's not the one with the bi-skew water block on. My main system does folding at home 24/7. It has done this since 2014, well, even before that, but obviously not in this configuration. So that graphics card there was bought in 2014, pre-ordered, with a 4K monitor with the other G1 gaming as well, and it's been folding all of the time since, so it hasn't really missed a beat, so that's pretty good. Now my newest addition in the main system is a GTX 1060, which you can see down here, and this is actually pretty dusty, but it's also a palette card. It came in a mini ITX PC which I bought, and the absolute muppet who owned the mini ITX PC decided it would be a genius idea, because this is a 2.5 slot cooler. This heatsink is actually 2 slots, and then the fan shroud and fans would have gone on top. So the guy's idea was they wouldn't fit in his case with the shroud on, so he just took the shroud with the fans on off. So he was running a passive GTX 1060 in a mini ITX case because the GPU wouldn't fit in the case. So yeah, pretty insane. So it came with no fans. He even threw away the shroud and the cooler, which is insane. So when I got the mini ITX PC, I was like, what the... Anyway, I've got a piece of string tied to the top of the case with a 140mm fan to keep it cool, and this 92 blowing in a bit of air sideways as well. And it stays about 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, folding at home 24/7. So that's pretty good. Also got a dead Asus Matrix 280X up there as well. So I forgot that. That's not really one that's on my shelf. It actually literally lives just on top of there forever. So that's kind of sad. So these are the final GPUs which gets used daily, as you may know. These are my XFX Black Edition RX 480s, which I've done quite a few videos on. These are now mining 24/7 and have been since about, well, sort of early to mid this year. I also got a reference RX 480 with this, whoops, just knocked the thing that covers the light on off there because it annoys me. It makes quite a lot of light and it's annoying, and you can't turn the lights off on these. Anyway, I've got a reference RX 480 with an Accelero Mono Plus cooler on it, and that has all various VRM heatsinks, and that's in the rig, and then these two are outside the rig, so they're actually mining 24/7. Got the Pentium G440 in there on an ASRock Z170 Pro. But yeah, they are the final GPUs in my collection, and I'll just give you a shelf shot here. So they're just a bunch of coolers and motherboards, and the shelves are empty, so all the GPUs have been taken off the shelf. I'm actually going to clean the shelf because you can probably see it's pretty dusty. So we're going to give the shelves a clean, then put all those millions of GPUs back. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope to see you in some other videos in the future.